All right, we are live. I think we are live. Yes, we are live. This is so easy to do, and yet it surprises me every time it works. Such is my distrust in technology. So, welcome. I see people are joining in the comments, so I'm just going to do a little soft shoe as people join. And welcome to this Friday afternoon. I thought this would be a great way to kind of ease into the new year and talk about our plans and dreams and give you all a chance to interact with me and interact with each other. As you know, if you're on my email list or read some of my posts, it's really important to me to really create a community. And so this is just one way that I hope to create a community and bring us into these spaces. So I would love your feedback throughout this. And even at the end, if this is something you really enjoy, let me know. If it's not ideal, let me know that as well, because I am doing it for you all and I want you to have the best experience. So let's roll into today and what it's going to look like. So thank you to everyone that submitted questions. I have 4 questions that I've selected that I'm going to go through. And then because I can't talk and monitor the comments, I'll then, after I cover the questions that were already submitted, please submit your follow-ups, questions that you didn't get a chance to submit ahead of time, and we'll either, depending on the questions and comments, we'll either kind of end after those 4 questions or we can keep rolling. Again, it's what you guys want. So again, welcome, and let's just dive into it. I'm going to actually pull up my questions here so I can actually see them. Cool. Okay, so very first question. Oh, just to give you kind of a little time assessment, I'll probably spend 2 to 5 minutes on each question, so about 20 minutes of me talking at you. Feel free to comment. Know that I probably won't see it until I'm done talking, but go ahead and put in your comments and questions as markers, interact with each other, as I've said. So the first question is, what do you do to set yourself up at the start of this year? I love this question. Thank you for submitting it, because you've actually really made me think about and get clearer on what I really want to do this year. And so if you ever heard me talk about this, I really see 3 components to doing whatever we want in our career. It's a mix of visioning, planning, and actually doing. And for today's purpose, I'm not going to talk about planning or doing because I know the people that I interact with, you got the planning and the doing part done. You have your to-do list, you know how to execute, you are doing, busy, busy, busy. So I want to spend some time on the visioning piece. It's where I'm going to really lean into for this next year and where I encourage you all to lean into. And the reason for this is because I think it's really easy for those of us, especially that are kind of oriented to planning and doing and knocking stuff off our to-do list. It's really easy to, when we set our goals up, kind of make them incremental changes or make them kind of continuations of where we are. Okay, I'm here, what does next year look like? As opposed to really stepping back and carving out time and space to really think about what's possible beyond what's just doable or what feels achievable. And I think with goal setting and all the emphasis on SMART goals and make them crunchy and make them specific, certainly that's helpful. But I think if we start from that place, we're just much more likely to have them be incremental changes as opposed to really getting that big vision of really what we want life to be like. So I'm going to share with you a couple of rituals that I'm going to do, and I encourage you to try them and play with them. And really, as with visioning, for me, it's all about that spirit of playfulness and creativity, and just really letting your mind go and not worrying for now about how we're going to do it, and just leaning into, like I said, the visioning. So one thing I started doing last year, which I actually love, is just on a note card or journal, this is my to-do list on the back, journal piece of paper, write out the big accomplishments that stand out for the year. And this is, normally I advocate doing this to celebrate our wins and celebrate our successes, but the reason I'm talking about it in this context today is as a kind of a checkpoint or an opportunity to take stock of, this is what I said I wanted. This is what I say I want to create. How was where I spent my time and energy actually lining up with that? And it's powerful when you do it year by year. It was really powerful when I did it last year, number one, because I was like, wow, I did a whole lot more than I thought, both in terms of external accomplishments and internal shifts. But what really made it powerful, and I really encourage you all to try this, is when I looked at the 2 years together. And when I think about not just those 2 years together and the trajectory and the cumulative effect of those 2 years, but when I think about multiplying that by 5 and what I can accomplish in 10 years, like I said, I think we can kind of get wrapped up in what can I do in the next 2 weeks or 6 months or year, or just kind of these random time frames. Doing an exercise this helps us start to kind of expand beyond any kind of finite, arbitrary time frame. So that's a great practice that I'm really looking forward to doing. Another practice is what I'm actually going to do on January 1. So I'm super not into New Year's Eve. I haven't been for a while. Just think it's kind of a dumb holiday. But anyway, a few years ago, I started thinking about the energy that I was carrying into the new year from New Year's Eve. And when I thought about it, I thought, okay, I'm either sleeping away half of the day, or, I get up at the same time, but I'm really groggy because I've been out all night. Maybe I'm a little hungover. And it was just kind of a lost day. And so I thought, that is really not the energy that I want to bring in and start this year off with. And so I really started making my celebration around January 1. That is my holiday. And it just helps me really channel what I want that year to be about. And not in the sense, again, of like looking at my to-do list or looking at my goals or doing anything. In fact, it's the opposite. And actually what I plan to do this year is really do a lot of visualization and literally watch myself walk through next year. Who am I hanging out with? Where am I living? What does my day look like? Who are the people that surround me? What are the challenges that I'm helping clients with? And just really get into that space, I think, as again, not necessarily connected to the goals that I've already set, but just to stretch those boundaries of what's possible and just see what comes up. And then, of course, I can always adjust my goals to support those things. So I'm really excited to do that. And I'm also just going to make it a really kind of retreat-like day, just like a lot of sensory experiences with all the senses. You'd probably make myself eggs, which is not that big a deal, but it's big for me because I don't cook. Maybe I'll have some cinnamon and ginger on the stove and just get those scents going, and just, really stepping into those very activities outside of work that I want next year to be about. So if I want to start each day next year looking at the sunrise before I dive into social media or whatever, just really start modeling those behaviors on January 1. So that's what I am doing. I would love to hear in the chat what you are planning to do. And I love, Leah, your comment. I'm just going to read it out. The quote, "People overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a lifetime." I love that quote. I've also heard it, kind of people give it, they overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Whatever form of the quote works for you, I totally agree. And I think when we start letting go of those constraints, really beautiful things open up. So let me move on to the next question. Actually, before I move on to that, I just want to leave you with this. When it comes to whatever you do, if you don't follow my rituals, fine. I just give those to you as examples. But in your visioning process, again, if there's one thing you take away, it's to expand beyond and stretch yourself to imagine what's possible, as opposed to what is just doable or what feels achievable. So next question. I love this as a follow-on. How do you keep the faith in yourself and dreams when you feel uncertain on your path? I feel this one deeply. I have a lot of experience with this one. And first, let me say that this is a normal part of the process. Everyone goes through this experience when they're making any sort of transition. And especially when you're making a significant career transition, I think the hardest period is when you have let go and moved on from what you were doing before in your career, and maybe some of the personas that you had adopted and some of that identity and some of the beliefs that were wrapped up in that phase of your career. And that space between letting go of that and fully finding your footing and getting your bearings in this new career. So the first thing I'm going to say is it's not just you. It is not, do not take any sort of questioning of faith or belief in your dreams as a sign that you're on the wrong path or anything to do with you. It is literally a part of the process, and everyone goes through it. You know I'm going to say something about mindset. So lean into your mindset here. And one nugget I'll share with you that is going to be really clear to you once you reach that other side of this gap, when you look back, is going to be that this space that I'm talking about, when you've kind of left that career behind and are moving towards the new career, it is such a beautiful, fertile, rich space to explore and question. Not question whether you're on the right path or whether your idea is good or any sort of thing. Not questioning that you're going in the right direction, but to question how you want your day to look. Question the best way to move forward. Question, we talked about identity a minute ago. Kind of question what pieces of your identity are morphing and what pieces you're bringing out and what pieces that you want to keep. And so it is really beautiful period, and I encourage you to work on the mindset and reframes that kind of help you navigate this and be present in this. The second thing I'll say is reconnect to that big, bold vision. And I know if I've ever come in contact with you and worked with you, I know you have a big, bold vision. That is the reason that you charted this course in the first place. And so reconnect with that and do the work. Lose yourself in the work that supports that vision and the furthering of that vision. Because when you're in that work, you get in that state of flow and you're like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing what I do. So whether it's creating a remarkable body of work, whether it is disrupting your industry, whether it's being a CEO and showing other, a CEO who happens to be a woman and showing other women the path you took and that it's possible for them as well, whether it's being a role model, whatever your big, bold vision is, lean into that and let that kind of be your guiding star to move you forward and help you navigate. And then the last thing I want to say about this, I think a lot of times, like certainly faith, it is a great muscle to flex to kind of build that self-confidence and belief in ourselves. And I think some people sometimes misunderstand that and think that it means that it can only come from yourself. And I would say, while that is a great muscle to flex, the more we can kind of get energy and have that light and stoke that flame inside us, the more we can lean on other people and borrow some of their belief, borrow some of their faith in us. And I know the person that submitted this question, and I know you have those believers in your vision and you and who you are and who you can't not be. And so lean into those relationships and building new relationships. It is not only going to help you, like I said, borrow that faith, but I think very practically, those are the people that can help you navigate this fertile, rich, and uncertain time when there is a lot of questioning naturally, and either by supporting you as you answer these questions for yourself, and or even sharing what their path was and how they navigated through it. So that is a big, beautiful question, and I think I didn't even scratch the surface in terms of how I can answer it. So send me your follow-ups, and let's just keep the dialogue going. But that's where my brain went first when I thought about this question. So moving on to the next one. Oh, okay, so I love the gamut of these questions. It's kind of beautiful, and says a lot about the variety of people that I get to interact with. So the next question is, what sets people who create amazing working relationships apart from people who create good working relationships? I love this question. I love that you're thinking about this distinction between great and good. This suggests to me that the person that submitted this probably actually has an awesome answer themselves. And so I encourage people to comment with what they think distinguishes someone who built great relationships versus good relationships. Where my mind first went is someone who creates great relationships focuses on the other person and the relationship first. To someone who creates great relationship, the relationship is paramount. Whereas someone that creates good working relationships, their primary focus is the goal, the objective, the project, the deliverable. And they still might be really good at, building relationships and growing relationships with other people, but it's in service to that goal or that project. So hopefully you're hearing the distinction in here. A person that builds great relationship, they know that when you focus on the relationship first, when you focus on other people, of course, you are going to meet that goal. You're going to meet the objective. It's not about not caring about the objective, but it is about supporting that person so that they can help you achieve whatever objective. And all of the other beautiful things that you don't even know are going to come out of that relationship. So to me, that is the fundamental difference that is just a game changer in terms of taking your relationships from good to great. So that's my short take. Also, again, want to hear what you all have to think. Next question. I was wondering if you could talk about what to do with your LinkedIn profile when you're in the middle of a career change. I'm stuck trying to figure out if I should change my headline to read more towards project management, even though I don't have the experience, or if I should stick with HR professional looking for HR professional looking for other opportunities. Then in the summary, explain more. Okay, great. So I know the person that submitted this knows the answer to what I'm going to say, but I have to get on my soapbox for a moment. LinkedIn does not matter. Resumes do not matter. The best way, especially if you are moving into a significant new area where you don't have direct experience or you're expanding your career in a significant way, the absolute best way to get opportunities you wouldn't possibly get through the normal job process or even consulting or sales process. You're just not going to get through an automated process or a paper process like LinkedIn or resumes. Relationships are absolutely the best way to do this. I know the person that submitted this question knows that, but I had to say it. And so I think you're onto something here in this question. So I would say first, focus on where you want to go. So if you want to go to project management, I think you said project management. Yeah, project management, have that be in your heading. I think as long as you don't put it as a job title, which kind of suggests that you've filled that role, I think saying something in the title about project management or whatever the area you want to move into is great. I think you could also have it be a number of different things. So let's say, I'm making this up, but let's say it's program management, people management, and design projects or whatever. So you could kind of have a set of different things that collectively, project management, there's a lot of different project management. You can kind of start refining and setting yourself apart a little bit in that title. And then I think your idea to include something in the description is great. Slight tweak on the energy behind how you phrased it. Rather than explain, I would think about how you tell the story. So how can you tell the story between the work that you did as an HR professional and how the XYZ things that you did in that career are applicable to the project management career? And I 100% guarantee you that 80%, I 100% guarantee that 80%, I guarantee you that 80% of the work you've already done is applicable. And so I think it's a really great exercise to play around and just 1 or 3 sentences. You're not over explaining, you're not trying to sell yourself, but I think it is a great idea to help people connect the dots because, they might look at your work history. And so to help them understand, all right, I spent my time doing these 3 types of things, and I really want to move into project management so that I can do these 3 things in a more focused way, or whatever it is. I'm making up the details because I don't really know them. But I think that's really great. And one exception to what I said before about LinkedIn and the resume not mattering, they don't. But I do think it's a really healthy, helpful exercise for some people to actually kind of, again, in the spirit of stepping back and getting that big picture, looking at where you've been in your career and creating a story or your talking points about where you want to go. I think it can be a really empowering, confident building exercise as you have your relationship building conversations to be able to connect the dots for people because they're going to want to help you, and the better that you can kind of fill in those blanks for them and explain to them, or show them, not explain to them, show them, of course, she's doing project management now. This makes perfect sense based on, how she spent her time for the last 10 years or whatever. So that's my answer there. Those are the 4 questions I got. Ooh, I kind of came in on time, a little bit over, 1 minute over. So I'm going to turn my attention now to the comments. So Leah says, I recently joined a group of people in my field, kind of a mastermind group. And this theme of reminding yourself of what you love about the thing you are pursuing just came up today also. Love it. Love it, Leah. Thank you for sharing. So any more questions or follow-ups to what I shared? Otherwise, we can end here, but I'm happy to stay on and see if this kind of rattled something loose for other people. All right. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. We can continue the conversation. I am going to post the replay. And so I continue. You won't be able to see the comments from the live session. So I encourage you to post your comment, post your question, post your thoughts. If you have a unique take, if you've experienced any of the things that I'm talking about and want to share your wisdom and lessons learned, would love that. Oh, I did get another question. Okay. The question is, what do you do with your vision after you work on it? Are we talking about the vision? Like I create a vision board. If you can just elucidate what you mean about what I do with my vision after I work on it. I have a number. Let me just talk, and then if I nail it, great. If I miss it, you can tell me and follow up. I do a lot of things actually around visioning. So I have my vision board. It's my vision board that I just do on Canva. I have these postcards, backs of postcards. I just kind of line in my kitchen with little ideas here and there, and I just revisit them often. They're kind of up there looking at me, but I just look at it, and I do a lot of visualization. Actually, it kind of dropped out this year, understandably so. But because I am futuristic and I love spending time thinking about the future, I do a lot with visualization and walking myself through it, and honestly just daydreaming. And it's really kind of cool. I shared in one of my emails, like I think last year my plan was like 18 pages long, which is probably too long. That's probably overkill. I do not advocate that. I really like planning, but I revisit it a lot. And as things come to me, and let's say I push an idea further, like, oh, wow, what if I did this in a different way? Like the networking course, I wasn't going to offer as a live course. And when it came to me, like, of course, Caroline, you have to offer this live. Then I get to go back through. That's probably like that's not even like a big shift. But when I have a big shift about, oh, I'm going to move, or, I'm going to spend 6 months out of the year in this new place, I go back to my planning documents and I kind of look at what needs to happen. So let me see if that's more of my process. Yeah, I make my board, and then Leah, you can tell me if I answered it. I look at it all the time. I visualize, I meditate into it. I literally watch myself walking through it. You know, I see myself traveling. This is crazy. Even before I mean, it's crazy because it's like so dumb. It's such a small vision. But when I was still trapped in my corporate life, I used to have this visualization of me like on a weekday in the middle of the day with my roller bag, like rolling through the airport. And to me, like being able to travel and be able to do so like on my own schedule in the middle of the week was like, that was like the biggest I could think at the time, which was amazing for me at the time, and kind of cool looking back. Like, I can't believe I was thinking that small. But in any case, and then, you know, a couple of years later, or however later it was, I texted my friend from the airport because I was wheeling my rolly bag through the airport. So I think I really lean into the visualization. And then when it happens, because it does, when you do this stuff and create space and time to do it, I celebrate the fact that, oh gosh, you know, all it took was just really getting clear for myself on not only what I wanted, right? I think to draw the distinction, I could write down on paper, I want to travel during the week. I think to me, what makes it real and powerful, and actually what kind of makes it more likely to happen, is actually seeing myself do that. So let me look here. Okay, Leah. Okay, great. I'm glad in my ramblings that somehow I got to the question you were so succinctly asking. That is my process. Anything else? Any other questions? Otherwise, I will let you go and enjoy the rest of the day. All right, cool. So please, like I said, I will post the replay. Please give me the feedback if you liked it. If you didn't like it, I'll be honest, I'm struggling a little bit with kind of not being able to interact with faces and stuff like that. So maybe we'll do a Zoom. I'm just really kind of experimenting with various ways to do this. And if there's something that you would like me to see me try, that would be a better way of engaging, I'm open to that too. All right. Thank you so much for joining, and see you soon. Bye.